got a fire. Calvin's on fire!
Don't do it to me. I beg you.
Oh, you fucking idiot!
Drzewo, Calvin, nie! Nie! Calvin! Calvin, stój!
Wait! No. He just fucking cut.
He tried it.
You gotta shoot it, man. I'm trying. I think you're missing. Okay, they got it all fours. Oh!
Ah! For real, what did I just hear, bro?
Let me see if I can hear. I don't know. I didn't hear it.
June.
Oh! He's not faltering.
Today, we gather here and we mourn the loss of our beloved Calvin.
Oh god! Oh no! My fucking show. What the fuck?
The Forest. It's a cornerstone of the survival genre in gaming. It stands right next to games like Subnautica, Rust, and Ark in defining what survival is now and will be. Midnight Games did something with The Forest that made it stand out from those other survival games though. Survival horror wasn't new, but The Forest kicked both the survival and the horror aspects up to a 10. They made the game as horrific as they could. They went all out with the blood and the gore. They went so far that some people have questioned whether or not they used real references, and they put extra care into making sure the enemies are as scary as possible. And even if they weren't scary, they were still unsettling. The enemies felt almost real. Midnight's AI is so good that even now, 6 years after the game released, nothing else like it has been made. And they didn't skimp out on the survival systems, they made them super realistic, since they apparently didn't think that enemies that want to tear your face off was hard enough. They incorporated things like sanity, infections, and sickness in order to make the player take extra care with what they do. Those aspects, mixed with great building, made the game one of a kind. Part of the reason the game was so good is that it was in early access for 4 years. This allowed them to get plenty of player feedback, and it also gave them a bunch of time to work on things. Eventually, the game released fully in 2018. During and after the early access release, the game sold millions of copies between PC and PlayStation. With the game being as massive as it was, and the story being left on a cliffhanger, a sequel was pretty much certain. And, just a little over a year after the first game was finished, Midnight showed everybody exactly what they wanted at the Game Awards 2019.
And this next one comes from a team up in my home country of Canada. I keep mentioning Canada, but this is a game that I think you'll be surprised by. And I saw it and I said, hey, this would be a cool thing to announce at the Game Awards. So check it out.
I quit my job to find a better living. Don't need nobody. I'll be fine. 'Cause I'll never ever be alone. And I'll never ever meet
I was right!
be a general like the Godfather. No, I'll never ever.
Yes! It's the boy!
Sons of the Forest.
The first trailer for Sons of the Forest was huge and extremely promising. It showed off plenty of cool and unique stuff while maintaining the vibe that the Forest had. After that, everybody was hyped for more news. And then COVID happened. But we got a new trailer pretty much exactly a year after, in December of 2020, showing off more cool features and an actual look at gameplay, and guns. This was pretty insane, as the first game didn't include them on purpose. There was a lot of concern as to how they would balance this, but more importantly, the trailer contained a release date, 2021. 2021 went by and it was clear that we got another delay due to the lack of news. But then, almost a year after that trailer, we got another one, showing off even more stuff. And then we got another release date, May 22nd, 2022. And this had me, personally, jumping with joy, because I put so many hours into the first game when it came out on PlayStation, and in just a few months, I'd be able to play the sequel. But no, it was delayed yet again. But like clockwork, almost a year after the last trailer, a new one appeared, and brought the final release date, February 23rd, 2023. But there was just one problem. The game wasn't finished, and wouldn't be finished by its release date. So it was releasing in early access, just like its predecessor. Endnight didn't want to delay the game for a third time, so they figured that this was the best course of action. And my god, were they right.
It's not just a bit of alright, it's a proper blinder. Well, after lobbing more than 100 hours into the final release, I'm chuffed to bits to tell ya it's bloody good.
So the big question we're asking today, does this game manage to improve on everything that made the first game so great and memorable? So there's not going to be any spoilers here, but I'm just going to answer that right here, and then I'm going to tell you why. Yes, absolutely.
Could become incredible.
Sons of the Forest was at one point the single most wish-listed game on Steam, and its sales definitely reflected that. It sold 2 million copies on the very first day, and crashed Steam. I remember sitting there on release day, battling my shitty internet and the Steam servers just to play this game. And how was the game? I mean, it's alright. But seriously, the game was amazing, and the support for it was crazy. The only time I've ever seen so many people come together over one game was with Helldivers. Every other scroll on TikTok would be about Sons of the Forest, and more specifically, Kelvin. More on him later, but just what did Endnight do to have millions of people praise their game like this? Well, it's interesting. The first reason people loved it and wishlisted it and all that is because it came from a studio with a great reputation, which made people feel safe in putting money into an unfinished game. The Forest sold insanely well, so naturally, people wanted more. But it wasn't just because the first game did good. This game was amazing. The best thing about Sons of the Forest is that it changed so much without making it feel different. Pretty much every system in the first game is carried over to the second one, yet improved in some way. Building feels amazing and is greatly improved, despite what some other people might say. The enemies feel just as alive and responsive to the world as they did within the first game, but with much more variety. And we can't glean over just how much the game has visually improved. There's obviously the graphics themselves, but also the little things like proper tree chopping animations. There's whole new additions too, like seasons and vehicles, that add to the experience without making it feel too different from the original game. They knew what the players wanted and gave them a premium version of it. There's also
Kelvin.
Kelvin quickly became the unofficial mascot of Sons of the Forest. Players adored him, and his silly moments led to tons of super popular clips, which equated to free marketing. This game didn't really have any ads, because it didn't need any. All it needed was to be good, and it did just that. Post-release, the community and hype surrounding it stayed pretty active, because the game got an update every 2 to 4 weeks, with each one adding a sizable amount of content. And something that was very clear is that Endnight was listening to their players, because something notably missing from the second game was the log sled. And Endnight weren't originally planning on adding this back, but they quickly changed their mind once they saw the community's reaction. After a few months of updates, they decided to do a pause on the bi-weekly updates, because they decided they would just wait for the final one, 1.0. And they were dropping it exactly a year after the game launched. The official launch brought more content, obviously, and more hype around the game. It took a year, but the game was done and contained nearly double the amount of content it had on release. The devs released a couple of small content updates since, with more possibly coming in the future. It's unknown if there's a DLC or if Endnight is just working on a completely new game. Wherever they go next doesn't really matter. They have shown that they care both about the games they make and the community that plays them. And I will most certainly take interest in whatever they do next. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, as these videos take a lot of work and research. If you've watched me before, I hope you enjoy this type of longer content because I certainly enjoy making it. And again, thanks for watching.